Okay guys, welcome back to episode 5 of the Flappy Bird series. Today we're just going to be carrying on with some minor updates, and we're going to start working on the UI, so adding in some of the score onto the screen. In yesterday's episode, well, not yesterday, the day before that, I think, a couple of days ago, we updated the spawner. We changed the height of the spawning positions of the pipes, just so that they don't appear off the screen. And then we also added in the collision, so that whenever the bird collides with, well, whenever the bird touches one of the pipes, it collides with it. And then what we also did is we added in our trigger box between the two pipes, so whenever the bird goes through them, we will know this and we can detect that, and we will be able to add some score onto our text. So in today's episode we are going to, let's jump in here and see what's on the list. So in episode 5 we are going to start working on the score. So seeing as we added that trigger box in, and we are now able to add points every time you go through the trigger, we can now add in a score label, which is what we're going to do now. And we can go ahead and update the score label every time we go through that trigger box. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then we are also going to try and get the restarting of the game working. So whenever the bird collides with one of the pipes, the game stops, and then we'll probably make it after like 2 or 3 seconds it starts again, resets the level, or not the level, but resets the game. And then yeah, so that is what we're going to be doing today. So let's jump into Unity. I have opened it up again, just save some time like always. Let's see where we left off yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but the previous episode. So I think the majority of the game is working. So you can, so you can still collide with the the pipes, but obviously when we collide with them, we want the game to stop. Otherwise, the bird just disappears off the screen and you can't get it back. And then what we also want to do is we want to, whenever we go through the trigger box, which we added in at the middle of the two pipes, so somewhere over here. I keep losing the bird, but we'll fix that now. So whenever we go through the trigger boxes, which is somewhere in between the two pipes, we want to add some score to our text. So let us start by doing that. So I'm going to add in here a text field. Where is it? Text Mesh Pro. So let's go ahead and import that. And this is what we're going to use to display the score of the player. So I don't really know how many points the original game adds whenever you go to the pipes, but I think we'll just make it one point every time, just so that you know how many pipes you've gone through. So here, let's go and say score text. Well, not there, sorry. We'll put that on 0, and then we'll change the name of this from text TMP to score text, like that. And then if we click on this, we need to now move it somewhere over here, so that if we play our game, we can see it over there. So now let's go ahead and center that. We can align it in the middle, or it doesn't really matter. And then we'll leave the font because we only already have that font, and then we want to change the size of that. Well, let's look at the game view, so we can see what the size looks like. So let's add in 100 there and say 50, maybe. Is that enough? Let's go ahead and drag this up to the top somewhere like that. Maybe let's try 150. Okay, that's a bit too big. 125, probably 120, maybe 110. Okay, we'll leave it at 100, or maybe even smaller. Let's go for 80. So we'll leave the font at 80, and then let's see, -10. Actually, we'll just leave that at 0. Doesn't really need to look nice. As long as it works, then that's fine. What else do we want on there? So we don't really want anything else. We could probably change the color of it to something else, but don't really know what color, so I think we'll just leave it white for now. Put that back like that. So let's see, if you play this, it should stay in this position throughout the game. So let's see if that works. So yeah, that's fine. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and update that when the game starts. So let us save that and jump back into, well, first of all, let's see. Okay, it doesn't really matter, but let's go back, and in here we'll jump into our script, and here we can say, or first of all, let's go ahead and see what script we want to put it in. So we got our trigger score, which needs to be in our script folder. We've got our trigger score, which we should probably put in there. Yeah, so we'll do that because I can see here I've typed in update the UI of the game. So let's go ahead and open that, and we will put the update. Okay, what's happening here? So okay, nothing important. So on here, this is the trigger box that whenever you go through that trigger box, this is the function that gets called. So in here, let us go and say, first of all, I need to get a reference to the text field. So let's go and say serialize field private, and then we need to import using, that's not how you spell it, using text mesh pro, like that, so we can use the correct type here. So we'll type in text mesh pro UGUI, and then we'll call the score text, like that. And then in here we want to, first of all, let's go and bring back our start. Well, actually no, we won't do that. We'll just set our initial text to equal 0 in the inspector by simply opening this over here. If you can, on score text, replace that 100 with just 0, so that whenever the game starts, it starts at 0. So let's do that if this loads. So let's change the 100 eventually to 0, like that, so that's fine. And then here we go, on the trigger entered function here, we want to go and add 1 to the player score. So do we have a global class? Up score player, spawner, trigger score. No, we don't. What is in our player class? So velocity. Okay, we'll leave it in here because we don't really need to update it anywhere else. So here, let's go and say private int score is equal to 0. And here we just want to go and say score plus plus, which means add 1 to the score. And then in here we want to say score text dot text, not tag, text is equal to score dot to string, because obviously score is currently an integer and you can only assign a string to a text field, so we have to convert that to a string. So let's go save that, jump back to the game, and let's see if anything happens when we go through our trigger box. Hopefully it works and we see the text here update. So we'll try to do that and see if this eventually loads. But yeah, after that then we just have to go and work on our pausing of the... Okay, so we got an error here because we haven't actually dragged that in, so let's go and say on here we can add our... Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger score. Do we have a trigger? No, we don't. So I'm going to add in an empty object here, and I'm going to say game, or let's just say UI manager, because that's what it does. And then on this we're going to add in a trigger score. Actually, I think we've already got it on, what is it, on our prefab. But anyway, we'll just leave it here for now. So we'll drag that in there, and then we'll save that, and then we can play it. So let's see if this works now. So hopefully we don't get that trigger, but I think we might get it, only because I think we added the trigger score onto our prefabs. Yeah, so we still get that. and that is because we have actually attached this script onto obstacles. So we need to, no we haven't, have we? Yeah, so trigger score here. So we need to go and look for, let's add in a tag here. Actually, let's do it this way. So if we go to, where is it, scene, we'll go back to the previous scene, which is our, where is it? Okay, so here. So in here we need to, let's go ahead and add a tag of, create a new tag, and let's go and say score text, score text like that. Then we can go and add that onto our text, and we'll save that. We will get rid of this because I think we don't need that there. And then in here we can take that away because we don't need to access it in the inspector. And then here we can bring back the start menu, not start menu, the start function. So let's go and say start, and then in here we want to go and say game object dot find games with game object with tag, with a tag of, let's see, what do we name it? I think it was score text, I think it was. We'll soon find out if that works or not. And then what we want to do here is we want to say score text is equal to dot get component text mesh pro like that. So that is going to go ahead and look for the game object with the tag of score text and get the text mesh pro component off of it, and then assign it to our text mesh pro score text variable up there, and then hopefully the rest will work without us changing anything. So if we go back, we should be able to just play this like this and it should work. But having said that, nothing really works the first time. So let's see what happens if we play the game. Should get rid of that error that we have down here if this eventually loads, which it has, which is fine. So let's go, okay, score text is not defined. So let's see, scores, trigger scores, yes, 12. Okay, I think I know why this is happening, because what it's doing is as soon as the game starts, it's trying to assign that variable, but what's it called? Our obstacle pipe prefab here is not being like added to the scene straight away. So we need to try and figure out a way to fix that, and maybe we can probably delay it maybe. So let's just go and add in another function here called private void. Doesn't want to return anything, so private void set text, just I think you can call it anything. Wait, that's way too many brackets, but you can call that anything you want. So I'll go and do that, and then we'll take this, cut it out, pop it in there, we'll save that, and then here it will say invoke with the name of set text, and then we will delay that to maybe 2 seconds, or let's start with 1 and see if that works. So we'll save that, wait for the game to load. So hopefully that works now, and hopefully the score text is assigned after the prefab is instantiated into the scene. So let's see if this works. So if we don't get any errors, which hopefully we don't, okay, which we do. Score text not defined. Okay, so let's do this quick and see. Let's just see how long it takes our prefab to spawn. So if we say, let's see, the game has started, and then it's instantiated a few seconds after that. So let's change that to 2 and see if that works. So let us see now. If this eventually starts working. No reference, okay, so let's play the game and see. Should get rid of all of that. Or did I delete something by accident? We'll find out now. But this is struggling a bit, so hopefully it loads eventually. Can only wait. Computers might just be because my laptop is a bit slow, as you can see. But that seems to be working. No. Okay, I think that the main problem is because it's not running smoothly. As you can see, the computer is currently struggling a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to touch anything in the game scene here. I'm just going to look in the hierarchy, and hopefully when the game starts, I'm going to click on the prefab, our obstacle pipes prefab that gets instantiated into our scene, and just see if the text field gets instantiated, or not instantiated, but if it gets assigned to our text field. But I don't know why this is struggling so much. That's taking like 5 minutes to load. Okay, so that will open that up. Obstacle. Let's see, trigger zone. Was it assigned? It was assigned. How about this one? Is that one assigned? That's also assigned. So they're both in there. Oh, okay, wait, no, they're not. Hold on, let's see. I think let's open this up and see trigger score here. Trigger score script. Have I assigned the right? Okay, if we save that, we might have to re-add this because. Okay, never mind. It's not it's private, so we won't see it in Inspector. But we'll change that to public for now, just so we can go and see if that's been assigned in the Inspector when we play the game. So we'll save that. And then we might have to change this and just somehow do it differently, because clearly this doesn't seem to be working. But let's play the game if it loads. Let's play the game, start it up and see. Now we will expand the the pipes obstacle prefab here that gets instantiated, so expand that and we'll expand one of them. Okay, so yeah, so it's not being instantiated, so let us try and figure out why. So trigger score, let's just open this up and see if, because sometimes we it opens up the wrong one. So this is working. Well, it's not working, but it is the right one. So in here we might have to figure out a way to just drag and drop this in somehow. So let's see. If we go to the main game option here and we somehow let's have a look here and see. So we have our player, and what script does that have on it? That has a player script on it. And we could probably, we might just have to do this in a different yeah, we're gonna have to do this in a different script. So let's go ahead and delete that, and then we will go ahead and save that. So the only thing we want to do in here is to add 1 to the score. So let us, we'll delete that now because we're going to have to use a static variable from another class. So here let us go and create a new script, say, and we'll call this UI manager. You can name whatever you want, but it's going to be updating our text field, so we'll call it that. So let's go ahead and open that. And then in here we want to access, we want to drag and drop in the text field, so we'll make that serialized field. And then we also need to import using text mesh pro, like that. So private text mesh pro, and let's call it a score text, same as before, like that. And then what we also want is we want to make a private static int score, like that. We don't really need the start method, which I don't think we actually we will need the update. So we'll set the score to 0 like that at first, and then in here in our update method we want to say score text dot text is equal to the score dot to string, like that. So that should handle all of the UI changes. So whenever the score changes, it should update automatically. And then in our trigger score here, in our onTrigger enter method here, we can just say UI manager dot score. Do we make it private? Yeah, we did. So this needs to be public. So public static in, so we can access it from a different class. Save that, and then in here we'll go and say type this again. So UI manager dot score, add 1 onto there. So that should handle the increase in score every time we go through the trigger box. So hopefully that works. So what we have to do now is we need to create another empty object here by saying create empty. We'll call this UI manager. We'll take out that capital A because don't know why I did that. And then on there we'll go and add in our UI manager script, and then we can simply drag and drop our text into there. So now let's see, where was it? On our obstacle pipes here, on our trigger score. So okay, cool. So if we go back to the game, let's play this and see. Hopefully this should work, because now we no longer have to assign anything, because actually we do, because I don't think we dragged and dropped our text field into it. So let's see, when this eventually loads, we're gonna have to, okay, so we did, okay, you see, so there, it is working. As you can see, whenever we go through a pipe, I don't know what happened there, but whenever we go through one of those trigger boxes, which is between between the two pipes, you saw that the score increments by 1. So if we play the game, we go through that one as well, and now 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So you get it. That's working nicely, so we can stop working on that. We don't want to break it anymore, so we'll tick that off. And now we also want to restart the game when the bird collides with the pipes, so let us go and do that. So where do we want to do this? I think we have that on collision enter method that we created whenever we hit one of the pipes. So let's jump into our scripts and see where that is. Is it an obstacle? Yeah, so here it is. So here, this is where we want to pause the game, and not only pause it, but we want to reset. So over here, let's go and say time scale is equal to 0, so that should pause the game. So let's see if that works. So just reload that. Hopefully nothing breaks or nothing gets something that we haven't saved doesn't work. So let's play this and see. Okay, so let's play by... Okay, clearly that's not working, because whenever we go through, or whenever we collide with a pipe, we want the game to stop. So did I save this? I did. But that doesn't seem to be working. So let's go and see on our obstacle pipes if we still have the obstacle, what's it called? The obstacle script still assigned to it. So if we click on the obstacle pipes and we open it, so on our pipes we do have the obstacle pipe script attached to it, so that's fine. Let's see, box collide is triggered as not assigned, or is not ticked, and so it's not ticked on that one, so that's fine. So let's play the game and see what's happening here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a debug.log just so we can see if this is actually being called, and we'll say pipe hit. So whenever we collide into one of those pipes, we should see a message being logged in our console, which is right here, saying pipe hit. So just so we can see that the on collision enter 2D method is being called. Reference script unknown is on this behavior is missing. Okay, so I don't know what that is, but let's go back into here and see. So if I play this again, hopefully it plays. Player script. So we've got an error on our player. Okay, so that is working. So I don't know. Clearly we just had a little bit of a bug there. So that's working. You can see the game has now stopped. When I click the mouse, I don't know if you can hear that, but whenever I click the mouse, nothing happens. And obviously the board has paused. The bird has paused. So now what we want to do is we want to go and restart the game. So let's say restart game here. We could probably do this in two different ways. We could just restart the entire the entire scene, or like instead of instead of trying to reset the bird at the beginning of the level and removing all of the pipes that are currently in the scene and deleting them out of the scene and resetting the text back to 0, we can just go and say what is it, scene management, or we need to import that first. So just can say using Unity engine.scene management, and then instead of, like I said, trying to fix or revert everything back to the way it was at the beginning of the scene, we can just go and say scene manager.load scene what is it called? Sample scene. Okay, so we need to change that. So we'll save that, and let's change the name of the scene to game scene, or let's just call it Flappy Bird, just because that is the name of the game. So we'll go and save that. Okay, cool. So we'll save that, jump back into here, and we'll go and add that in quotation marks there, and we'll save that. So now, hopefully, whenever we collide with one of our pipes, the game is reloaded. But this is going to do it straight away, and we probably want to add in like a small delay. So let's go and see what this looks like first, and then we'll see if we need to change it. So let's start the game and say, okay, so that's fine, that's working properly. But then what we also need to do is we need to go and say, actually we're going to add in this delay here quickly, because So let's go and say private void restart game, and then in here we're going to take this out and we're going to cut it and paste it in here. But then we're also going to go and say time dot time scale, and we're going to reset that back to 1 just so the game starts again. And then here we're going to go and say invoke, so invoke with a name of restart game, and then we want to delay this by probably 1 second maybe. Just like that. Okay, what's happening here? The name of does not exist in the current context. Did we not just use this in here some way? Oh, I'm confused. Maybe I've just done it wrong. So invoke name of what's it called? Name of restart game. Maybe we don't add, there we go, so we don't add the bracket inside of it. Okay, so we'll save that. So yeah, before I added an extra bracket like that and it didn't like that, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and delete that bracket, and then what we will do is we will run the game and see if it works. So that should be pretty much everything on the list. So restart game when bird glides the pipes, and then the only thing we need to do is export the game to the computer and see if it actually works. Or it should work. If it works in here, there's no reason for it not to work on when run from the computer. So let's play the game and see. So if this does work and we can export it, that means that this is the end of the Flappy Bird series. So clearly that does not work. Okay, so let us go and see why. So let's do this. So we'll go here and say debug debug.log. Let's say game paused, and then after we unpause it, we want to go and say game resumed. So did I save that? Yes, I did. So let's see if these things get called. If it doesn't get called, we know why the game is not resetting. Well, I can't think of one reason, and I think it might be because we can't really reload the same scene that we're in. So let us see if that works. So if we play the game, so let's press play, and when it eventually loads, we will see if it works. So where's the... Okay, so something is... Did we put it on the wrong one? So no, that's on collision, enter. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unpause the game quick, and I'm going to build it. Let's go build and run, so we can run it from desktop. So let's say Flappy Bird, not Dirt, Bird, like that. So we'll save that, and we'll export that. And if this doesn't work, we might have to try and fix it in probably the next episode, just because of how much this is struggling and how slow it's becoming. As you can see, it's taking forever to build, but because that is the only thing we have left, so obviously we will build it, we're exporting it now, so we'll go ahead and take that off. So that is pretty much it for this episode, other than the fact that we need to see if this works when it's built. So let us wait for that and have a look here. So let's tidy some of this up. So I think we need to, obviously I haven't really planned the next game, but I think it's probably going to be some sort of platform hopper. So you start off at like obviously the bottom, and then you just have to like jump from one small platform to the other, and pretty much see how far up you can get, how high you can go, and then obviously if you miss a platform you fall all the way down to the bottom, and then the game restarts or something like that. We'll try and figure out something small that we can try and make, and then we can start that probably next week. So when this eventually loads, we can test it out and see what we need to fix. But this is struggling a lot, so I probably need to invest in a new computer or something, because it seems to be getting worse and worse every video. So we shall see. But for now, while we wait for this to try and build it, let's go to the desktop and see. So that's going to build hopefully onto my desktop some way. When eventually it starts or finishes, then I'll launch it and see what it looks like. But because this is taking so long, let's go and see what else we need to do. Where's Notion? So Notion there. So I think that's pretty much everything we've done. All of this, we've ticked all of that off. We've ticked off episode 4 and we finished episode 5 pretty much. So that's pretty much everything. But so yeah. But okay, so this is launched. Let's bring this over here and see if this works. So okay, so that is a bit of a problem. So we need to try and change the aspect ratio of it. I think it is. So let's go ahead and bring that out here some way, and we will close that, jump back into Unity, and on the game over here, let's see if we can change the aspect ratio. So when this loads, so the aspect ratio is fine. Let's see, 9:16, which is good. So why can we see it? Okay, let's try that again. Where did it save? So if we go back, Flappy Bird, hurry up. Clear, nothing. You've got nothing for me? Seriously? There we go. Flappy Bird, so Flappy Bird, let's go and open that. It might have just no, that's not what I'm looking for. So let's open up where I saved the game. So game development here. So let's see, where is it? Flappy Bird here. Is it this one? I think it's this one. So let's open that. That should be the game. It is the game, so it's spawned over here. So I think. Okay, so it's definitely. We definitely need to try and change the aspect ratio of this, because clearly it doesn't export the way we assigned it here in the game view here. So we want to change that, but we will probably do that in the next episode, where we will also work on. Let me just have a look and see what's on the screen, because I can't see. So okay, so it's me. So in the next episode we're gonna obviously try and fix that aspect ratio problem, and then we also want to fix the restarting of the game, because yeah, the game, whenever you collide with one of the pipes or something, it just pauses and you can't really do anything, you get stuck. So we might have to add in like a restart button, and I might even just add in a play button so that the game doesn't start straight away. So that's what we're going to do in the 5th and final episode, hopefully. No, sorry, not the 5th. What episode are we on? I'm pretty sure we're on 5th now. Let's have a look here and see. We are on the 5th episode, I think. Yeah, so we are currently in the 5th episode, so episode 6. Yeah, let me just type that. Episode 6. So in episode 6, like I said, we're just going to work on some improvements to the game, adding the button to start the game, and then trying to fix the aspect ratio problem. So if you're enjoying the series, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.